too.
Hello, Doug.
Oh, that would be good. Okay.
Hello.
Okay, so I just would like to welcome everyone to our online program this evening. I just want to remind people that we will need to remain muted during the performance. There will be an opportunity after to ask questions, or you can put them in the chat during the performance. Okay, so I just want to go over a few things. Our mission, the Winchester Seniors Association at the Jenks Center is a not-for-profit volunteer corporation. We do service people over 55, but specifically the evening and weekend program is for working seniors. You're trying to entertain that demographic. We have expanded to intergenerational audience. We do have new programs for younger people. Also, we like to inspire and create new interests and pursuits. And so in February already, we've had our creative journaling with Anne, which was really, she's just so meditative. It's just a wonderful class. I encourage more people to come to that. It really is so enjoyable. We had great.
Hey, everybody. Looking forward to this. I just can't see.
Your microphone is
Okay, so we're just going over our PowerPoint
I
presentation.
can't see the video.
If everyone could stay muted for now. Okay, so we have the art of shelf styling with Stacy. We have COVID vaccines with Dr. Drazen. We have a tour through Asia with May. She's going to share her own experience. Would everyone please mute? Make sure that you're muted during this performance. We'll have historian Robert McDougall. He's going to come and talk about President Lincoln. We have Chinese New Year party with Jennifer Zhang. And we also have another deeper look at gua sha facial massage with John Saya. So if you want, you can jot down what's coming in March. We are going to have Anne back to do writing down the stories of your life. We have acrylic painting basics with Eli Portman. We have Ayurveda explained. We're going to dive deeper into that and work on what diet you should have for your dosha. So if you want to learn more about Ayurveda, please come to that with Dr. Shaw. We have, of course, Composer's Corner with Jeff Berlin. We have the gallery wall with Stacy. Chinese tea ceremony with May. She's going to go over all different types of teas and what to do with them, even medicinal teas. And she's also going to do a Chinese tea ceremony. We have spring birding with Neil Hayward. He's coming back. He was here in the fall, and he is just a great presenter. We have a new program, Dancers Dialogue with Gretchen Hayden. That is Sterling Hayden's daughter, the actor. She's going to come and explain about Kathak dance, which is an Indian dance. Foam roller demonstration with John Saya. This is part 2 because we had so many people sign up for it that we have expanded it into another month. And we have another new program, Home Cooking with Lynn, who is a vegan chef, and she's a personal chef to people in Winchester. And then, of course, we have tonight Composer's Corner featuring Doug Hammer. And he's a multi-award-winning pianist, composer, and producer. He is educated in contemporary jazz and classical styles of music. He's a scholarship graduate of Berklee College of Music in Boston, and he has his own production studio, Dream World. He has worked on projects for film, the web, TV, radio, and corporations. Andrew, my husband, who is the host this evening, will be going over much more with Doug about his music, his history, and his wonderful CDs. And you can find them on Pandora, Spotify, and Music Choice. They've been viewed and played millions of times. And then if you would like to sign up and get our newsletter, you can go right here to jenkscenter.org at the news. And then I'd like to thank the Cummings Foundation for sponsoring this event this evening for their generous grant. And oh, why is it doing that? Okay, and now I'm going to stop sharing and turn over the screen to Andrew and Doug. And if everyone would please mute themselves, just to make sure that there is no noise in the background while they're presenting to us. And please keep muted until we have our question and answer section. Thank you.
Thank you, Hillary. Doug, thank you so much for coming tonight. I am very excited about this. I know Doug because I met him a while back. In fact, God, it must be probably 10 years ago. I remember I met at a PACA event, Boston Cabaret, Amateur Cabaret, I think is what it is. And it was really amazing to watch Doug, who's just so facile with music. He was accompanying one woman that was getting out of key, and he just followed her in every key that she was in. And she had no clue that he was like, you know, just moving the music to match her. And it was just perfect. Though, and to watch him do that, it was just phenomenal. I said, oh my God, this guy is the ultimate accompanist. But you are so much more than that, Doug. And I look forward to finding out a lot more about you tonight. In fact, I'd like to, in the week or two prior, do as much research as I can. And I found out just lots about you that's fascinating. I don't know anything about your TV work and your film work. I'd love to hear more about that. But I do know about your vast array of CD work. You cover a lot of genres. And speaking of which, one of the things we'll play later is a carol, Christmas carol. And one of the things I love about Doug can literally play any piece in any genre. You want to hear it, in country music style or Broadway style or whatever it might be. But before we get into the music, I'd just love to find out a little bit more about you, Doug. Tell us about, what's your first memory of even touching a piano or music? What's the seminal moment in your young life where you said, oh, music is the life for me?
It's hard to say because I grew up with music, especially my dad's record collection, a lot of Broadway, a lot of classic country, swing, the swing era, Benny Goodman, all of that stuff. And so I've just always gravitated, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. And at 6, I started piano. So I don't even remember a time where music wasn't important to me.
Oh. Was there music in your family? Your dad had a record collection. Was he also?
Yes, my dad used to play piano.
Uh-huh.
And we had a piano in the house, of course.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
A Wurlitzer Spinet, and he also played some Chopin and different things. And and
so he was pretty good. Was he professional as a pianist, or was that a hobby for him?
More of a hobby.
Yeah.
And he used to work at IBM and JPL, teaching all about mainframe computers.
Oh wow! I worked at
IBM. For the youngins in the room, mainframe computers were like about 1/1,000,000th the power of your phone, and it took up rooms, and they had air conditioners to keep everything cool, and it was very noisy.
Yeah, yeah. And in fact, there's a picture going around recently of a 1956 10-megabyte drive the size of your grand piano. And I would sell a washing machine style one with 10 megabytes for $100,000.
Oh.
And you can literally get 1,000,000 times that in the size of your phone. So,
Now you got a little USB 2 terabytes for like $50.
Amazing. Yeah. Anyway, we've come a long way. And in fact, I put off for a long time doing a CD because I'd never play perfectly. I know that. And I was just afraid to do it. And then I finally convinced myself I was going to do it. And when I got into your studio, it's amazing what you can do. I take 5 takes and take the best one, and then we cut and paste, any bad parts that I messed up. And to watch Doug, he can actually get down to the wavelength, the cycle, the phase of the cycle, and blend the sound continuously. And you will never know that there's a splice in there. It's just a phenomenal technical thing that you can do, as well as your musical acumen. And by the way, I love the fact that I could play something on that piano and he can go to another piano in his studio and just I play it identically. He knows exactly what the notes. So you have, I guess, what they call perfect pitch, right? So you just, you know, a note, just play it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I developed it too, you know, being in high school bands and hearing songs on the radio and having to chart them out, even just simple chord charts and learning parts. But I mean, I've always done that. I remember as a kid learning contemporary pieces like Dust in the Wind by Kansas, something like that. And then I get the sheet music. I'd work on it with my piano teacher, and I would be like, time out, this isn't the way it is on the radio. Because then it would be like a simplified piano version, or the monkey, or there's plenty of errors.
Oh my God.
Chords, and I'm always finding errors in music. And so I'm like, wait, no, it goes like this. And so it's definitely something I, have developed over the years.
Yeah. I'm going to do something now just to highlight some of your orchestrational abilities. I came to Doug with an idea for a piece. In fact, the Thoreau Society asked me to build a CD, which I did in 2013, called Wanderer in Dreamland. And I just took a bunch of ideas and was influenced by nature. And this one's called Far Away. And I'll just play a little bit of it, and then I'll play the orchestration that Doug built. Anyway, so now let me play for you the orchestration, which took it to a whole new level, and it just blew me away. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to share the screen. My apologies. I'm going to share the screen, and that way, here we go. I just still get goosebumps when I hear that, even today. So thank you, Doug, for that. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? How do you go about orchestrating something? I mean, obviously, you know instinctively by now the chord structure, the notes going on, but how do you go about taking an idea and then fleshing it out into its total majesty? How do you do that?
Sure. I mean, first of all, I want to backstep and say, I have a full studio down here, and I love working with real musicians. Okay. There's a lot that is just, frankly, too expensive to do, such as hiring a full orchestra, hiring a whole string section. Plenty of times I've had string players in here, whether it's solo string players or a string quartet. I love and honor musicians, so I'm not trying to replace or take anything away from live players. In fact, some of the sound libraries I have, one company in California, usually the sound libraries are film composers themselves that come up with them because they feel that a certain product is lacking in the market. And for some of them, anytime you buy their samples, the original session musicians that were sampled, they get a piece of that, which is really cool.
Oh, nice.
So I wanted to start with that.
Yeah.
We're at a point, and I don't want to get too far with the technology, but we're at a point where the sound libraries that are available now are just really mind-blowing. Literally, strings recorded at Abbey Road Studios, the finest concert halls and scoring stages in the world. And it takes a lot to get those sounds and make them playable on a keyboard with various controllers. And it's, again, I don't want to get too far into it, but what a lot of people have dreamed about for decades, we finally have. In the old days, these sounds were synthesized, but today you have gigabytes and gigabytes and just massive, massive sounds. And so you're basically playing and performing other musicians' performances. You're playing recordings back.
In fact,
So anyways, to get to, because I could go on about that.
and I have like 3 or 4 stories I want to share, but go ahead.
So I listened to a piece, and I have some general ideas as I'm listening. It could be, oh, I hear solo cello in the beginning, and then maybe a cello section later, and then maybe build it and have violins, maybe add a little harp in the background, add some cymbal rolls in various transitions, maybe in the middle section add a French horn. So a lot of times I don't hear the parts in my head. I just think, what about this, this or that? Because again, you can scale anything now. So you can have something very intimate like a string quartet, or you could have a small string, like 20 or 30 players, or you could have Johnny Mathis, huge sweeping, huge epic sounds. And so you have to think of the scale. So then I load those sounds up, and as I'm listening, I'll just start with an instrument, and it's like checkerboard. I'm all over the place. A lot of times I start with cellos for some reason. So I'll start with the cellos and then maybe some other string parts and just build it up from there. The thing I'm really conscious of is not to overdo it, because a lot of time, not a lot of times, but plenty of times I hear stuff and I just think it's over orchestrated.
Yeah.
And so when I'm orchestrating to piano, it's like I'm accompanying a singer, and I really just want to add stuff and not get in the way, not cover, and that type of thing. And then these, again, these sounds are so inspiring. I'll just start playing. And a lot of times the music actually is a barrier for me, and it's actually better for me to just, noodle and improvise with these sounds. And then when I get, let's say, a cello line for a part, I'll stop, go back, reperform it, stop, go back. I might do it 5, 6, 7, 8 times, maybe 10 times, because I want to play and perform it in with eke as much emotion out of the sounds as I possibly can. So I'm definitely coming from a performance standpoint. After that, if I need to do some nudging and tweaking on a programmer level, I will, but I really tend, and I really prefer to work more as a player and accompanist with it.
That's a great way to think about it. 2 quick stories. One is when I was building one of the songs for our daughter's wedding, you had some wonderful professional singers come, but you also pulled in the background some accompanying choral voices. And I remember you had literally 400 and something different chorus sounds.
Yeah.
A woman going, ooh, ah, I mean, just all these different things. And I said, I can't possibly process all that. Just give me 10, are really good. And from there. And the other thing that I'm fascinated by, you mentioned it very briefly, but I don't think people appreciated it. When you talk about the music halls around the world, you literally have the, how can you say it, the sound signature of those rooms. So you could say, I could put you in Phillips Hall or whatever hall it is around the world, and I could put you in the back row or the middle row or the left side, and you literally can move it around, and it picks up the exact reverb for that seat in the audience. And it's just an incredible powerful tool. Anyway, I want to get back to your music. So let's first do this piece. I can can this now. Hang on a second. Let's get to your first piece. And basically, I found that Apple did not work well with this for some reason. I don't know why. So I had to go to basically reshare, and so I'm resharing with. Oh, I got to get back to my screen here. Where am I? So I'm resharing previously built YouTubes of your stuff. You're all over YouTube, which is great. The only problem is that when you go to do that, there's always a commercial that comes up. So I have preloaded them. So hopefully the commercials won't come up. And if they do, I apologize. But this is Main Morning, a Pasadena concert. Let's hear a little of this because it's just a beautiful piece. So we have so much to listen to. If you don't mind, Doug, I thought we'd just talk a little bit about this
Sure.
one.
Yeah.
First of all, God, I love the fact you can play in front of a live audience so perfectly. This is in Pasadena. Tell me about these. Tell me about these performances. You go around the country pre-COVID and you play for all these places. How do you get involved in that? How do you arrange those? How do people come? How can they come to see you?
I got welcomed into a wonderful group called Whisperings Solo Piano Radio. And you can look them up, and you can subscribe or I think even listen for free. And so it's we're just a group of like-minded and like-hearted pianist composers.
Mm-hmm.
Some are more jazzy, some are more contemporary, some are more classical. I really don't like to use the word new age, but it's like, what does that mean? Chill piano. And so we had different events, and I got to really know a lot of wonderful pianists and have a lot of wonderful friends. And we say, hey, you want to do a tour? All right. So we, a lot of times we look to see, where the concentration of our fans are, and then kind of put pins on Google Maps and go, oh, okay, and kind of build a route and start making that happen. And they can be venues, they can be house concerts, everything, medium, small to medium venues, libraries, just, piano stores are very popular. We get to play on amazing pianos. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to post-COVID when we can get back to some live music. I'm sure a lot of people are hungry for that.
You and me both, my friend.
We'll get there.
Let me get to another one now, which is this is like a little different now. This is a music video you did, and I definitely want to talk about this. But let's just listen to a couple of minutes of it and just watch what you do, because this is one of my favorite videos of all time. And I've watched a lot of music videos in my life, so let's see how people enjoy this. So Doug, what I love about this concept is that, I mean, it's obvious you're walking backwards, but everyone else is walking forward.
Yeah,
And these people aren't in on it with you. They're mostly just the public, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
how did you do this without, you must have, a couple of occasions, there was one scene where you literally were walking backwards into throngs of women and girls and kids. And how did you do it? And you must have had some mishaps along the way, I imagine, huh?
I did, but not much. Not much.
Really? That's,
My wife filmed this.
yeah.
My wife, Emmanuel, she filmed it. And so this was a special single version of Sway from my haiku album. I remember when I was working on that, I had this idea of doing a more produced version of the song. That took a while to make that happen. And I had this idea for like at least 9 months before I shot it. So I have ideas sometimes just on the shelf for sometimes even years, you know? And I like this idea of I'm the only one walking forward in a backwards world, basically.
Yeah.
Not that I think the world is backwards, but read whatever you want into it. I don't know.
There are days like that that I feel the same way. Is there anything funny that happened or unusual or, noteworthy that, occurred because of this?
Yeah. So this was all shot in Boston, and you can see that it's very colorful. This just happened by accident, but it was perfect. It was Pride Day, and so a lot of the parade had just finished,
Oh, okay.
and so a lot of people had very colorful rainbow gear on and so forth. And my younger son Nathan, he was my spotter.
I love
So
it.
as I was walking backwards, my wife was filming me, and then my son Nathan gave me hand signals.
Ah,
He said, this way, or stop.
yes.
So he
Okay.
would go left, right, or stop.
I love it.
And I had to do it where it didn't look like I was just eyeballing him the whole time. I had to just kind of look around.
Right.
And I had to practice walking backwards.
So
Which I
this
did.
must have taken hours to do, I assume.
I shot all of it in one day.
Wow.
In one afternoon.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm actually quite introverted, and so it was very difficult, and I feel very self-conscious about dancing.
I love those squirrels, by
you
the
know,
way. Well, I
I
gotta
think I
tell
have
you,
a handle on rhythm and music, but
Yep.
I've always felt self-conscious about dancing. And so I'm like, well, why don't I just dance backwards in public? Maybe I'll do what you fear.
Yep. Well, I got to tell you, I think that dance was really good. And we should say, Emmanuel, your wife is very talented. She's a graphic artist and has done, I believe, most, if not all of your album covers as well. Is that true?
Exactly. She is originally from France, and she is a fine artist and graphic designer. And she's done all of my artwork for all my CDs and website and everything.
Now, here's
And
another
you can go
video.
to,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you can find out more about her artwork at emmanuelarts.com.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And that's 2 M's and could you
Two
spell
L's.
it for us? 2 L's, right? Emmanuel Arts. Okay. I'm just gonna play a little of this, but what I love about this is some of your family, some of your friends. I don't know, I assume but also you just went to everyone, and they just very happily participated. And so this particular album, Heart, which I have here, I don't have it in front of me, but a lot of it's just the premise of this one is almost like a heartbeat in every one of your songs in some way, shape, or form, some kind of repetitive motif, and it really works well. And this is one where you have a video attached to it as well. So I'm going to play a little of this. That's Emmanuel, by the way. I have to tell you, this does bring a tear to my eye. How did you get people even, what did you tell them to do? When you went up to them, what did you ask them to do? Just kind of open up, you show them the gesture? Or?
Yeah. It, again, I'm quite introverted, but I've worked on that, obviously, performing and everything else. But yeah, I had to walk up to strangers and tell them who I was, what I was doing, if they want to be part of this music video.
Yeah.
And I just kind of showed them, you know, and then they all did that gesture in their own way.
Well, you touched a lot of people. I wonder how many of these actually saw your video later. You may never know.
Yeah. I just have all these memories of.
Very nice. Very nice. We have so much to cover. I apologize. I'd love to watch the whole thing with everyone. We're going to move on. And let's see. Now for something completely different. This is the exact opposite of something very restful. And this is Night Drive. Do you want to comment a little bit about this particular album or the music you were going for here?
This is just a single.
Oh, it is. Okay.
You know, last year I decided I wanted to work on a number of singles, and part of that is because, like I said, I have a lot of ideas and half songs and full songs just on different shelves and drawers.
Yeah.
And it would be like, you know, oh, that'll go on this album once I get to it, and I have to wait how long? So I started going, you know, let me just do some singles. There's different orchestrated things I've wanted to do, and this is more kind of 80s techno electro kind of.
Yeah, very different. By the way, typically, what do you call your music if not new age? How would you characterize your music?
Contemporary instrumental.
Okay, and this is definitely a little bit on the outlier. Wouldn't you say?
Sorry?
This is a bit of an outlier. I think this is a little bit, yeah. Anyway, I'll play some of it. I think it's quite enjoyable in its own right. Oh, sorry about that. So Doug, where did you get these video concepts? Are these things you can buy or rent or just use or?
This is a video game I bought called Neon Drive by some developers in the Eastern Europe. And I asked their permission if I could use their footage in my video, and they said yes. And it's my son Noah actually who played it.
Oh,
and
great.
I just screen captured the video.
This is wonderful. And actually, it's not as hard driving as I remembered it, but there's some things later that are pretty crazy images.
It speeds up. Everything speeds up. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. Okay, so I'm going to move on. We have so much to cover. Now, you have an album that's called Secret World. And in fact, I have a copy here, which I can't show at the moment, but in fact, this was not even open because I downloaded everything anyway, but I bought it from you, Secret World. And you have this woman, Amethyst, that operates a theremin beautifully. I mean, when I first heard this album, not knowing that, I thought it was a voice. It's just so well done. And this happens to be just a improvisation you did. I don't think it's part of the album, but you can see her operating it. So I thought I'd just play a little bit of this. how did you two connect?
I think it was through MySpace. For people who remember MySpace,
Yeah.
I had heard her and heard her voice and loved her voice because she's a singer.
Oh, she's also a singer. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why she approaches the theremin like a singer with
Yeah.
phrasing. And she lived, pretty close.
Hmm.
And at first, she did some work on my Christmas album, and then later we decided to do this collaboration together. And it was really all improvised like that.
Yeah.
And it's just very spacey and ethereal and otherworldly.
Yeah. Very beautiful.
Very different project.
Yeah. That's what I love about you. Have a wide variety here. Now, this is from your most recent album, I believe, Piano Squared, where you play.
Hold on, let me get the other Doug. Hold on a sec.
All right.
Yep. Did you call me? Yeah. The other Doug's over there.
All right. Let's see what happens here.
Round and round and round and round and round and round.
I love it. So, by the way, that's an interesting beat. Is what is that 4/4, or is it something more complicated? Because it sounds almost like it's meandering in and out of a rhythm.
It's 6/4.
It is 6/4. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Or slow 6/8.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now, this is from your one of your Christmas albums. You have two. You have Noel, and I forget the other title. I apologize.
Christmas Lights.
Yes, and so this one is a interesting version of Three Kings Orientar. I just love it. It's just so uniquely different that I think it was worth playing a bit of it. Definitely an upbeat version, and this is so different than the typical Christmas song. Now, the whole album is not like this, but you have a lot of different wonderful Doug Hammer touches in these pieces. So if anyone wants a different Christmas album, I highly recommend either of these albums. They're just wonderful. Okay, moving on. There's just so much to cover. Now, this is from a completely different sound. This is a Caribbean sound. And I want to ask you, was this one of those things where you just loved these sounds and came up with a whole album worth of it? Or did you go on a vacation and get all inspired by it? Or is there some story behind how you came up with all this stuff?
So this is actually from a film score.
Oh.
It was an independent film, but alas, it's a film score for a film that eventually never got released.
Oh no. Okay.
So I guess it's still.
Well, anyway, yeah.
I hooked up with a film director, and he shot the movie in Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
And so I researched Guatemalan folk music and it's very marimba based.
Yeah.
And just kind of went with that. He had a Guatemalan marimba that I was able to borrow, and I sampled it
Hmm.
and recorded it, and some Guatemalan flutes and different things.
Oh, wow.
And so I just sampled them, and then I played them on my keyboard.
And is this a film that is an underground film? Is it existing anywhere? Can we see it somehow? You know,
He never released it. Yeah, he
never-
can't.
do you have one copy in your home?
No.
Hmm.
No.
Okay, we'll play a little bit of it. I mean, this is really fun and upbeat. I'm going to move on to something a little different now. Redemption. Do you want to talk a little bit about this one before I do it? Actually, you have two redemptions. I don't know if you're aware of that. You have one of
Yeah,
the
dude.
haiku
Yeah,
album.
that posed some problems with ASCAP and not really copyright, but with ASCAP. And I will never do that again. Have two song titles the same way yeah, that's complicated.
But this is the Americana one. Any thoughts on it before I do it?
No, that's okay.
Yep. Okay.
Well,
So Doug, I could listen to this for hours. My wife was listening to it and said, "Oh my God, this is perfect for my yoga classes, my Tai Chi classes, my meditation classes," because she does all of that. And some of your work is very meditative, and I actually don't know how to compose at that level. I think it's just a wonderful, quiet part of your personality that comes out that's just beautifully rendered.
Thank you.
What is there any particular feeling behind this or impetus that generated this particular one?
Yeah. A veteran contacted me who knows my music, a fan of mine, and he asked if I would write a song called Redemption for him. And so I did. And you know, what you played is just a very slow build, but later on in the song, it gets very dramatic and, you know, brass and drums and all sorts of things going on.
Yeah.
So really dedicated to all the men and women in our armed forces and veterans.
Wow, it's powerful. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Appreciate the connect into it. Very nice, Doug. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, I thought I downloaded Jonathan's song, and maybe this is a good time to do that. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shut the sound off for a minute. You can talk because I have a feeling what's going to happen is I'm going to get a commercial. So let me do that. Doug, maybe you can talk about the background on the song a little bit.
Sure. It always amazes me when I get this feedback from people. And this mother had emailed me and contacted me. She has at that time a baby boy, and he had kidney disease and had both of his kidneys out and wasn't supposed to live. And my music was on the soundscapes on Comcast and the cable TV, the New Age channel. And my song Sunrise was playing on that, and she wanted to know if the sheet music was available because she was also a pianist and she wanted to play that for us. And so eventually, we met and I did a concert out there, and he's doing great, by the way. That was a number of years ago, and he's strong young man now. Not young man, but young gentleman.
Yeah.
And so that inspired me, having two sons of my own, to write a song for Jonathan.
Yeah.
And I was walking, at that time my boys were very little and their schools were just a few blocks from our house, and I was walking home and this melody popped into my head. And I said, this is it. Got home, recorded the idea, and then developed it from there.
And this is on your Travels album.
That's right.
Which features my old piano, by the way. I don't know how you found it. Let's listen to this beautiful song. So Doug, I like how you took a simple melody and then, played with it various ways and then went into a whole other feeling, like an A and B, and then came back to it. Really, very nice.
Thanks.
I wish we could listen to the whole thing. I want to cover a few more things that I know you want to announce a new album tonight. So let me stop it here and just do a couple of more things. So we have one, this is from a different album of yours, from your haiku album. And this is one that's moving. And quite fun. I love this one, so I just thought I'd play a little bit of it. What I love about this piece and all the ones on haiku, it definitely has a haiku kind of minimalist feel to it. It's quite aptly named. And I think it really does justice to the music. So let's see. I think I have just one more I'm going to play. I wanted to make sure you had about 2 minutes at the end. Let me stop here. I'm going to play this next piece only because, first of all, you referred to it earlier of Sunrise, which is the one that Jonathan's mom heard. And by the way, what a great thing for Jonathan to have a song, named after him. But this is Sunrise, and this is played by someone else. So your music now is so popular that people are playing it. And I just think that is testament to your popularity. So this is by a fellow named Jonathan Wang playing Sunrise, and he plays it pretty well because I played it for you at first and you thought it was you playing, but I think at one point he went off in a different direction, but it's very close to you. It's just obviously very true to your music.
Mhm.
So by the way, Doug, you don't know this guy, do you?
No.
It's great. I mean, he's done a whole like music video with the moving camera, the panning,
And there's no music. He memorized it.
he memorized it and he plays it pretty well. What do you
It's
think?
not an easy piece.
No.
It was hard to transcribe it. I'm like, what did I do?
It's got quite a haunting kind of melody to it. It's very well done. So anyway, I thought that was I wish people would play my music. That's wonderful. So that's wonderful. Okay, so let's turn this back to you now. I'm going to get out of this. Let's see, how do I get out of the stop share here and turn it back to you, Doug? And let's hear about your new album, what you're working on.
All right. Well, I haven't decided on a release date yet. I'm doing the final mixes of it. But it's 6 songs, so you can call it a mini album, or what they used to call an EP, an extended play. I don't know why they would call it that. But now in the post CD era, it's a collection of 6 songs, and it's called Night. And it's about my original idea was I wanted to do, and you'll hear very, very quiet, meditative music in the upper part of the piano, very quiet. And so I compose music and then title it afterwards. But in this case, kind of like my album Celtique, I came up with the titles first. And it's actually about someone who can't sleep and is up most of the night. And by the time morning comes, he goes to sleep. So I am actually very much a night owl. And so, not that I can't sleep, I can sleep well, but
I slept for 8 hours. I slept for 8 hours. It was over 3 days.
So basically, I wanted to do quiet, reflective, meditative, very, very chill piano music. And so it's just a mini album, and I can show you, I'll share my screen here so you can see. Here is that's the cover.
By the way, I want to tell people too, that background on your desktop is an actual representation of the Earth with the lights in it. That's a real satellite capture. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, my screensaver there. So that's the cover that Emmanuel did. And this was taken in England, this picture. It's a pedestrian street. And, I just wanted to show you that. And I was going to play just snippets of maybe 2 or 3 songs.
And by the way, I just put on the chat room emmanuelarts.com, which is her website.
Awesome. So what I'm going to do, and we tested this ahead of time, is in my studio here, I have microphones in the piano, and the piano, I don't know if you can see, I have foam and blankets covering it. I'm going to turn the webcam audio off, so you're going to have a different sound. And I'll play a little bit of the opening song, which is called Dreams Won't Come. There we go.
Okay.
Was that at a good level? Could everyone hear the piano okay?
I think so. It was a little quiet, but it was beautiful. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very nice.
So I just want to play a few snippets. So the next piece is called Empty Streets. And if it's one thing that I love, it is walking at night, especially in towns and cities, as long as it's safe. I love the stores being closed, the street lights, barely anybody around, the quiet, especially in the summer. It's very kind of otherworldly time. And I just love it. I've always loved it, night walks. And so Empty Streets, play a little of that for you.
Love it. Very nice. By the way, I didn't bring this up, but you have 2 CDs you built when your children were born, where you just literally played, I believe, nonstop. You improvised for what, 45 minutes or some period, long period of time.
78 minutes.
78 minutes, and it was just phenomenal that you just kept playing, and every note was perfect, and it was just the right place. It was all improvised, but it was just beautiful.
Yeah, there were no edits on those, and originally I wasn't going to release them, and I really created them before the boys were born.
Ah, okay.
Music to play in the hospital to chill my wife out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it birthing music, but basically to chill her out. And she, in the studio, we had a long extension cord, and she was in the lounge area on the couch with headphones, and then I just watched the time because you could put, about 79 minutes on a CD. And so I said, let me just do these real long improvisations. And so that's how those came about.
That's wonderful. By the way, one of my favorite stories I like to tell is that one time I was in your studio, I wasn't getting it, and you just walked out of the room and said, just take all your time and just play away. And so I played away, and then you came back and said, how's it going? I said, oh my God, I just played it so perfectly. I wish you were here. You said, oh, I recorded the whole time. So you actually, you got me, you fooled me into playing it perfectly, which, well, it wasn't perfect, but it was really, really pretty good. And it was because you were out of the room and I just wasn't under any stress. It's just being able to perform on cue with that kind of precision and accuracy is just a wonderful talent on everything else, on top of everything else you do. Well, we're out of time technically, so if there's any final things you want to do, play, or talk about, you're welcome to, but we also could open it up to the floor if anyone has some questions. And I don't know if anyone wants to
Final questions, yeah.
chat, or maybe we can open it up. I think we can ask people to unmute, and you can
Sure.
unmute now. Is that true?
Hey, Doug.
Hey.
Jason here. I heard you live. You, Philip Wesley, and Tim Newmark came to Oklahoma City in 2017. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
And you brought the house down with the pendulum at the end, which is I encourage everybody to check that one out. I bought the sheet music to it. It was pretty awesome. And I'd also mention your album Celtique. I thought that was just incredible. I bought the sheet music to that too. I just think it's a masterpiece. So I really enjoyed that. My question for you, I guess, is, and also this is kind of weird, but I live in a town called Jenks, Oklahoma, and so it's just kind of weird that you guys are at the Jenks Community Center in Massachusetts. Is that right?
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, so kind of random. But my question for you is, how did you learn how to improvise?
That came with a lot of time. Growing up, I had classical and pop training. At first, classical, I wasn't so much into it. I stayed for a while, and because I'm more a pop person than anything else. And then later I went back to the same teacher and took it more seriously. But it wasn't until I went to Berklee College of Music out here in Boston that I got some jazz training. Learned more different jazz chords, like, these all just kind of weird kind of things, all that kind of stuff. And so Berklee was really helpful in terms of, I had done some improvising in, high school bands and pop and that kind of stuff. But it was really learning the language of different scales and just getting them in my fingers in all keys, where you build up this muscle memory of, okay, we're playing G minor, right? And I could go, there's all these different minor scales. I could go like this, or I could be more bluesy. And so it's really just over time. And the trick is, not that there's a trick, but learning various scales. There's also modes, you know, and getting those in your fingers, and then just going very slow and just trying different things out. And I think it's better to start with little ideas, you know, little motifs, and just build from there. But it was just over a long period of time. I used to play at hotels and piano bars and restaurants, and that enabled me to really work on my improvising chops over time. Really, I don't know if that help, you know, answers your question.
So you learn to speak the language of music is basically you gotta.
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
Yeah, live in
it doesn't have to be jazz, right? So,
Right.
you know, like it could be, you know, like the Celtic stuff, you know, I could go like. So that's all a scale I'm doing. And I'm just working off of that scale.
Yeah.
You know, and there's modes, you know, like what Dorian mode, D Dorian is all the white notes from D to D. So it would be. So that's actually, for the pianists out there, that would be very easy scale to improvise on, right? Because you could just play. You know, and just, you know, or just the black notes. You know, I wrote a song, haiku, and it was just the black notes, which is more in the East, pentatonic. There's just the 5 notes there. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. You know? So there's ways of, you know, just want to kind of separate from jazz for a sec to show you that it's just getting those scales down and just working from that.
Awesome.
There's a question here that says, excuse me, do you have, let's see, what does it say? How do you get the feel of nature and wind and waves from Celtic?
Well, my wife is from the French part of the Celtic part of France, Brittany,
Oh.
which is on the coast, obviously,
Yep.
just south of Normandy. And just from having been there many times and seeing how dramatic the ocean can be, and also here in Boston, because I grew up in the Midwest and we have Lake Michigan, which could get stormy, and sometimes pretty stormy, you know. But from my own experiences and movies and stories and so forth, and yeah, and for that, what I had said before, the song titles came to me first, and then I built songs to the titles. So that kind of helped me focus in you know, certain directions.
And then there's a question here, do you have equal facility in all the keys, or do you favor some over others?
I have my favorites. I think this is a real thing. I mean, I know there's people that when they hear sound, they can see colors. I'm not like that, but I forgot what that's called, kinesthetic or something. But anyways,
Synesthesia.
there you go.
Thank you, Jason.
I like the key of D and the key of G a lot, and they're both related because the key of G has 1 sharp, and then the key of D has 2. You know, F sharp and C sharp. And in terms of colors, I've always gravitated towards the cool colors. So anything between blue and green. I love aqua, robin zag, turquoise, all of that stuff. And for whatever reason, those D and G to me really kind of, I write in them a lot. There's just there's a bright sound to it, you know? You know, but as I'm writing stuff, I'm not usually thinking of the key. And sometimes I want something, you know, more dark. So sometimes I'll try something in a couple different keys to see how it hits me. Because
Oh, really? Yeah.
oh yeah, because a half step makes a huge difference.
Wow.
I found that out on my latest project here, Night. You know, the last song is called "Close My Eyes." You know, and at first I was like in D flat, which is more like a kind of here. And I thought that was too dark, so I went up a half step to D, so now it's here. To me, it's like two different planets. Even though it's a half step, it's like a completely different feeling and vibe that I get from D versus D flat.
Hmm.
You know, so yeah, sometimes I'll play around with the keys. You know,
Well, Doug, you've been very generous with your time, and it's just been a pleasure to discover so much more about you. The last couple of weeks, I've just been downloading all your music and listening to it. And feel free, folks, to go to doughammer.net. Is that correct?
Yeah.
doughammer.net and emmanuelarts.com for her wonderful artwork. And we look forward to the release of your sextet, or whatever you call it. What's you calling it? A mini
Mini
CD?
album.
Mini album, yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, it'll be digital only, and it'll be, you know, everywhere. I'd say in a couple of weeks.
Excellent. We're looking forward to it. Folks,
Well,
thank
thank
you
you
all
for
for
having me,
coming
Ed.
tonight. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was so much fun having you here. I can't wait to get back into your studio. We all have to get our shots first, of course, and
Yeah.
and whatever. But wish you the best. Thank you so much, folks. I hope you come again next month. We have Jeff Berlin, who's a very talented bass player, who's written a lot of music and also has appeared in over 30 albums as a bass player. But I hope you all come again and tell your friends. And thank you so much for coming tonight.
So
Have a great-
in closing, can I say a few words?
Of
Okay.
course.
So I want to thank the Cummings Foundation, the board of directors from the WSA, especially Dr. Drazen. And I also like to thank our managing director, Nancy Pocari, for all her dedication and thoughtful insight. She is leaving us as of tomorrow. If people don't know that, you can maybe send her an email. Also, Kathleen Schneller, she's our administrative coordinator, does so much work behind the scenes to make sure that our programs run smoothly. Also, I'd like to thank, of course, Doug Hammer for being here this evening. This was really a wonderful program, really enjoyed it, but a special thank you to my wonderful husband, Andrew, for his vision, for
Thank you, Andrew.
his
Here for that.
commitment, bringing us to fruition, and thank you everyone for coming.
Good night,
Thanks for
all.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Bye,
Thank you,
Doug.
Doug. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah.